Good morning and welcome to Carolina Cares. I'm Tyler Ryan, your host here this morning, and we've got a treat for us. We're going to learn a little bit, and have a treat for our ears this morning. Affliction that impacts some 40,000 people every single year. Something that used to be a death sentence. It certainly isn't anymore. We're talking about type 1 diabetes. And yeah, we have a little something sweet for your ears as well when we come back on Carolina Cares.
Okay, men, time to be an all-star caregiver. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, be there emotionally and physically. Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find care guides at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Carolina Cares. This morning, I'm Tyler Ryan, your host, and you can't talk about diabetes without thinking of that old Wilford Brimley commercial. Diabetes. And it's fun to think about that, but the good thing about that commercial is it puts the phrase and the name diabetes or diabetes into your head. You're familiar with the term. The question is, what is it? Turns out there's two types. There's type 1 and type 2. One is traditionally called juvenile diabetes, but there's a misnomer in that as well. Joining me this morning from JDRF Palmetto, Miss Beth McCrary, and of course, Shelby Raye. Good morning to you, ladies.
Good morning, Tyler.
All right, so real quick, Beth, let's talk about diabetes for just a minute. What is it and the two types? And tell me kind of the difference. I've got diabetes in my family. I don't have it that I know of. I don't know if I can develop it. I guess that's a conversation we can have, but tell me what it is.
Sure, Tyler. I would love to clear up what is a lot of confusion around diabetes, and it's really no joking matter. I know a lot of people do sometimes make jokes about diabetes, but for those living with type 1, it is truly no joking matter. So type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disorder caused by an unknown trigger. Different from type 2, in that type 2 is a metabolic disorder. That's where your pancreas does not produce enough insulin or has developed a resistance to it.
Is that the one that comes from bad diets or sugar or that kind of thing?
Those are factors, but not always. Diabetes is a complicated disease.
Wow.
Oversimplification to say that it's caused by eating too much sugar. Everyone has a responsibility to eat in moderation, portion control. So, again, it's a little misleading to say that it's just lifestyle factors that cause type 2.
So let's talk about the type 1, because type 1, T1D, or juvenile diabetes, JDRF, is, I guess, what you connect it to. But that's also misleading because it's not just
right.
juvenile.
So JDRF made the decision about 10 years ago to drop the name Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation because it is misleading. What we have always called juvenile diabetes, we now call type 1 diabetes, T1D for short, because statistically, 85% of the people living with type 1 diabetes are adults and not children. And you can be diagnosed at any age. At my age,
where did the whole thought of juvenile then come in? Where did that?
Well, for the longest time, it was mostly being diagnosed in children. But now we know that anybody of any age can be diagnosed. Actually, it's becoming more common when people are in their 50s and even 60s to develop type 1.
And that's a development. It's not something that's been with them their whole life. It's something that comes about.
It's a sudden onset. And I'm sure Shelby can share her diagnosis story. But for my daughter, diagnosed at age 7, the symptoms came on in less than a week. That's just how sudden and out of nowhere, the warning signs appear.
Right. Now, and some of the numbers that I read, and correct me if I'm wrong, but 15,000 adults a year and 15,000 kids a year are diagnosed with T1D, type 1 diabetes. And I'm not a brilliant man when it comes to math, but that's 30,000 people boiled down to 40 kids and 40 adults per day. We estimate about 40,000 new diagnoses a year. And again, that's the smaller population of overall of people living with diabetes. But important to note that no matter how you develop diabetes, type 1, type 2, the potential complications are the same. So when we go before our members of Congress and ask for funding, we do put all those numbers together because obviously a huge drain on our healthcare dollars for those potential complications. And that's what JDRF works so hard to do is to raise money, to fund research, to eventually cure this disease, get better treatments, and to prevent it. And as of right now, there is no cure. There isn't a pill you can take. There isn't a treatment. If you're diagnosed, if you develop it through whatever means, you're going to ride that pony until the end.
That's correct. But, the research that is being funded right now is so crazy cool and exciting. I have no doubt we'll get that cure. It may not be as soon as we'd like to see it, because obviously we'd like to see that tomorrow, but the research is promising, and I will never give up hope that that day is coming.
I love it. I love it. Well, Shelby Raye joins us this morning as well. Shelby, you are 17.
Correct.
So you would be one of the juveniles in this equation
Yes, sir.
that has type 1 diabetes, so T1D, as the kids say out there, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that. Tell me about your diagnosis. What year were you? How old were you when you were?
I was 7 as well.
Okay, so you're 7 years old.
Yeah, I was in first grade, and my parents thought that I just had a stomach virus because, I was throwing up, and it kind of just hit out of nowhere. So we're thinking, oh, she's going to school. She's gotten sick from somebody.
Right. Or you didn't want to take a test.
Yeah, probably that too.
Fair enough.
It's possible. Hey, I wish it was that. Let's be real here. But it was just stuff that was really unusual. I was constantly drinking water, like way more. I would literally wake up in the morning, move to the couch, and sleep till dinner, and then eat, and then want to go back to sleep.
Now that is the average life of a teenager, but not a 7-year-old.
But not a 7-year-old.
Right.
Yes. But it was really life-altering because it kind of hit us out of nowhere. And at that time, and I'm sure I can speak for Beth on this too, the reason we do this is because at the time, it's not very known. And at the time, we had no idea what diabetes was. So when the doctor said, hey, you're a type 1 diabetic, we were like, what does that even mean?
Right.
Like, nobody really knows, so nobody knows what to look for. So, there are kids that are being misdiagnosed with diabetes and saying they have the flu.
Okay.
And then they're losing their lives because it's just not known. There's not enough advocacy for it, so that's why we do what we do.
So how did that impact a 7 years old, the ripe old age of 7? Fast forward 10 years, over the last 10 years, how has having T1D altered your lifestyle? What do you have to do in your daily basis that another 17-year-old doesn't have to do?
Count carbs. That's definitely something you have to, and you have to eat proportionally. That's everybody, but you have to measure your food. You have to make sure that you're counting your carbs. If you have, you're just like, oh, I have a sweet tooth, I want 1 Starburst. That's 5 carbs. You have to bolus for that.
Right.
It sounds kind of crazy, but it's definitely life-altering.
Sure.
It kind of makes you wake up and realize, whoa, okay, I need to, live my life every day like it's my last, because it could be. So,
Now, do you have to, I know I've had friends, and maybe that's type 2 diabetes, where you have to take insulin. I have friends that have pumps. Some have to check their insulin every day, and they take medication. Is that with type 1, is it the same thing, or is type 1 more a diet thing versus an insulin thing?
Type 1 is completely and totally insulin dependent. Your pancreas does not work whatsoever. There's no insulin produced from your pancreas. So some people will take shots and others will do the pump. I personally prefer the pump just because it helps monitor my blood sugars way more.
Right.
But there's so much more technology now. We don't have to prick our fingers as much because of we have CGMs, we have Omnipods that are closed loop systems that we don't have to prick constantly all day long, which has definitely saved multiple. I can speak to that and say it's saved my life a few nights. So.
Right. And Beth, I'm guessing there's no pancreas we can design. We can't do a 3D printing of a pancreas.
Well, that would be wonderful, Tyler. And Shelby referred to a closed loop system. That is what we call an artificial pancreas, not to be confused with a, surgically putting in a new pancreas. That has been done, but on a very, very limited basis. The artificial pancreas that Shelby's referring to is still 2 medical devices that you wear on the outside of your body. It's an insulin pump and a continuous glucose monitor, a CGM, and the 2 communicate with one another to automatically regulate the insulin being given to the person. And again, to clarify, with type 1, the autoimmune attack causes your body to stop producing insulin, and no one can survive without insulin. It is needed to break down the carbohydrates that Shelby was referring to that fuel your body. So, I've had over the years people say to me, well, can't you just eliminate carbohydrates from Hannah's diet and then she won't need insulin? I wish it were that simple.
Yeah, well, then your blood sugar drops.
But everybody needs carbohydrates to fuel their body. She's still got to eat, but she needs help breaking, with the insulin to break it down. So,
what is, if it's diagnosed, if before, it's not just the flu, at 7 years old, it's diagnosed, or at 47 years old, whatever, with type 1, if it's monitored, if you do all the steps, I guess I'm hoping, praying it's not a death sentence, and we all, I guess, at some point we all are going to cross that line, but is it, you can maintain?
Absolutely. Correct? And, prior to 1922, when insulin was discovered, type 1 diabetes was a death sentence. Folks were sent home, put on a starvation diet, and eventually passed. So hasn't been that long that we've had that.
1922.
It hasn't been that long that we've had that liquid gold insulin to survive. So yes, once you're put on the regimen of insulin, which you have no choice, I often say that, when Hannah was diagnosed, there was no getting a second opinion or researching treatment options. There's only one. You need insulin, and you need it right away.
Right.
Without it, you cannot survive. But yes, you can live a grateful life. And Shelby Raye is an example of someone living well with type 1 diabetes. She's got great family support, and she's got the tools and technology that JDRF has made possible. She was referring to her insulin pump and her CGM.
Right.
Those are things that I'm proud to say JDRF made possible. 48 years ago, two moms founded JDRF, two moms on a mission. They were not willing to accept that their sons would have to use the same needle, sharpen it, and boil it and reuse it.
Wow.
That's what 48 years ago you were doing. So that
that's like the 1960s and 70s. That's not, you think of like a million years ago. We're talking there were Volkswagens.
So in 48 years, we've come so far. That very first year JDRF was in existence, they raised about $10,000, which was a lot of money then. Fast forward to this past fiscal year, and JDRF raised over $110 million to fund research. So we've come a long way in a short period of time.
Sure.
And again, a lot of people don't think it's happening fast enough. But I see what Shelby and my daughter Hannah have access to, and the fact that they are thriving. But you know what? A lot of families aren't, for various reasons.
Right.
And again, that's why we do what we do. We want to get those warning signs out there so that people know, because it wasn't on our radar either, Shelby, before Hannah was diagnosed. It just came out of nowhere. And then families, again, struggle because of the financial burden of this disease. A hot topic in the news today is how expensive insulin is.
Right.
So JDRF and advocates around the country are fighting hard to make sure that insulin is accessible and affordable for all.
Speaking with Beth McCrary and Shelby Raye about T1D, type 1 diabetes, JDRF, what used to be called juvenile diabetes, this morning on Carolina Cares. Now, Shelby, we're going to take a quick break, but you actually have another hidden talent, or maybe it's not hidden.
It's not hidden
I guess
all.
if you haven't
If
heard,
you haven't heard of me, it's hidden. But
yeah, well, we're gonna it's gonna be like a Christmas present to y'all in a couple of minutes. We're gonna
Happy early Christmas.
What that is in just a couple of minutes. Continue listening to Shelby's story and the encouraging news, the encouraging story, the encouraging fact that there's people who are diagnosed, but there's a ton of folks who are trying to help stop and prevent that disease, and that's the takeaway. Real quick, Beth, a website for JDRF here in Palmetto.
Sure. Palmetto.jdrf.org is where you can find out about all that's going on with our local chapter.
Perfect. Guys, we're going to take a quick break on Carolina Cares, and then Shelby Raye is going to help you unwrap a Christmas present early. It's a true story. Don't move.
Okay, men, time to be an all-star caregiver. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Be there emotionally and physically. Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find care guides at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Carolina Cares on this weekend morning. Tyler Ryan here talking about juvenile diabetes, type 1 diabetes, and it impacts, as we're learning this morning, the name is a bit of a misnomer, not just juveniles, not just kids, but adults as well, some to the tune of, say, 40,000 people, let me put it that way, collectively a year are diagnosed with T1D, type 1 diabetes, that if left untreated, if left undiagnosed, if left uncared for, can be a death sentence. But if you follow the rules and take the prescriptions you're supposed to and do everything you are, you can effectively live with it and have a fantastic life. And maybe even, I don't know, have a hidden talent like playing music. Shelby Raye, diagnosed at 7 years old. You're now 17.
Yes, sir.
And you, you got a guitar, which means you must be able to play it and sing, right? I'm hoping.
No, I just carry it around for fun.
That's what I do with mine too.
Oh my gosh, we're twins.
You know, God, we are really neat. But obviously you play music, and you write, but a lot of the music you write is inspired by your affliction.
That is right. Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Living with type 1 diabetes is not the easiest thing, but some people have their outs. Some people are athletes. Some people, they just focus on their schoolwork. Some people play sports, but for me, I play music.
Right.
I write my music if I'm having a bad day, because sometimes you just kind of get down in the dumps, and you're trying to figure out like why you were the one that was diagnosed, but you just kind of have to realize that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So that's how I cope with things, and a lot of times if I'm having a bad day, I'll just write songs about it. So
I'll tell you what, since you got that guitar, it looks really heavy, and you're just like a little sprig of a thing.
I know, right? Not even 5 feet. I'm 4'11".
4'11". Would you play us a tune here this morning on Carolina Cares?
I would.
Miss Shelby Raye.
So this is my song, Can't Rain Every Day, and this kind of ties in with type 1 diabetes and how that I know it probably seems that you're going to go through days where things are just really bad and the walls are closing in, but it's going to get better and things will get easier. So.
Can you really call it morning if you don't get out of bed? Raindrops like a kick drum pounding in your head. The radio ain't working, the coffee don't taste the same, and the sky outside is crying your tears down the window pane. But it can't rain every day, it can't storm all the time. The sun is on its way, it's just gotta make the climb. The weather's gonna change, your tears are gonna dry. The clouds will roll away, but it can't rain every day. Spending all day watching little memories splashing around, getting lost in an ocean of all the things that didn't work out. Keep searching through those dark clouds for just a little ray of sun. Don't get stuck in worrying that it'll never come. But it can't rain every day, it can't storm all the time. The sun is on its way, it's just gotta make the climb. The weather's gonna change, your tears are gonna dry. The clouds will roll away, but it can't rain every day, it can't storm all the time. The sun is on its way, it's just gotta make the climb. The weather's gonna change, your tears are gonna dry. Clouds are away, but it can't rain every day.
Shelby Raye, my goodness. How those big pipes come out of such a 4 foot nothing 17-year-old girl. Oh my gosh. Pull that mic down just a little bit so we can all hear you for a minute. My gosh. Also speaking with Beth McCrary from JDRF Palmetto here. First of all, that about blows your face off on early weekend morning, right?
Wow. Goosebumps over here.
Yeah.
I'm so incredibly proud of Shelby Raye, and I've had the honor of knowing her for these whole 10 years that she's had type 1. My daughter was diagnosed about the same time, and I remember Shelby Raye sharing with me about 10 years ago why a cure was so important to her. And her words were, a cure is important to me because there are songs I need to sing that haven't even been written yet. 10 years ago, she said that. Okay, and it's coming true. You know, she's writing her own songs now, and making beautiful music, and I cannot wait to see where this girl is going, because she is going places.
In fact, you're going to Newberry. You're going to be at the Newberry Opera House, as a matter of fact. Shelby Raye and the Jake Bartley Band is an album release event. That is, and that's tonight. Tell me about that. So folks come in and just check out. You can walk on the big stage up there at the Newberry Opera House, which is an amazing venue, by the way.
It is. When I was 12 years old, short little fun story. I was 12, and we were in Newberry. Me and Mom were in Newberry shopping, and I was like, "Hey, let's go check out the Newberry Opera House. Let's see it." And so we asked. We were like, "Hey, can we go in and see the stage?" And I walked up on the stage, and I looked at Mom. I was like, "One day I'm going to play this stage."
Right.
And 5 years later, here we are. I'm having my own album release at the Newberry Opera House.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, with Jake Bartley Band, they're great guys, and they've helped me as well. They actually played on my album, so that is a huge thank you to them, huge shout out. Tickets are $30.
Right.
If you get out, you come out, and there's going to be both of us playing. Both of us are releasing our first album, or my first album. It's not. I don't think it's theirs. They're very seasoned guys. They're awesome. So it's going to be me and the Jake Bartley Band. You will, with the purchase of your ticket, you will also get each of our CDs. You'll get one copy of each of our CDs, and you get to watch a whole awesome show of brand new music. So
for $30.
$30. That's it.
That is such great stuff. I love your story. I love the fact that you don't, at 7 years old, you don't let it get you down. I think that is amazing. And I think that's something, a takeaway today here in Carolina Cares as well, is that you get sentences, bad things happen, you get afflictions, you get diseases, type 1 diabetes, for instance, and it's not a roll up in the corner in a ball and say, poor me. It is, in Shelby's case, pick up a guitar and start singing about it and start owning it. It's so amazing.
That's right, Tyler. And Shelby Raye gives back to her community. The type 1 community is growing, unfortunately. And as I said, JDRF funds research. So we have to raise money to fund that research. So there are going to be 4 additional opportunities to hear Shelby Raye perform in the in the Midlands. Right. And these are all events specifically to raise awareness of type 1 and to raise those critical funds. So everybody get out their pen and paper. October 14th at Pelicans in Ballantyne, South Carolina. All day, Pelicans Fun Day for a Cure. Shelby will be there between 1 and 3 performing. The following Sunday, the 21st, is that correct? Is Shelby's very own annual fundraiser. It is the Team Divabetic Chili Cook-Off at Schooners, also in Irmo. All-day event. Come out, hear Shelby perform, other local acts, taste awesome chili, raffle prizes, all kind of fun. Then also our JDRF Columbia One Walk on November 10th at Spirit Communications Park. Again, wonderful opportunity to come out and support our organization and get to hear Shelby perform. And probably the one I'm most excited about is March 16th of 2019, our annual Hope Gala, Denim and Diamonds at Spirit Communications Park. Would love for the community to come out and support that event. And again, get an opportunity to hear the amazing Shelby Raye perform at our after party. So if you didn't get a chance to write all that down, go to our website, follow us on Facebook, and you can find out more about these wonderful opportunities to support JDRF and to hear Shelby. And again, we are so grateful for her and her family and all they have done over these past 10 years to not only raise awareness, but raise money. they have raised well over $25,000 with their events.
Something magical about music, isn't
to
there?
support JDRF. So we are so grateful for their family.
All right, Beth McCrary from JDRF Palmetto. We only have a couple minutes left, Miss Raye, but would you please sing just one more song for us?
Absolutely.
I would love it.
Absolutely. So I'm going to do my song No Filter, which is actually the title track of my new album. This is definitely a fan favorite. So thank y'all again. Like she said, you can find both of us on Facebook, JDRF. You can find Shelby Raye on Facebook. You can get the Jake Bartley Band on Facebook. And you can probably find Tyler Ryan somewhere too.
I might be on there. Just me.
Mama taught me to walk the line, to use my words and pick my fights. And Daddy shook his head at half the things I said. Ain't that right? Mama said always be kind, and if you can't tell a white lie, they said have common sense, try to make amends. Well, I tried. They thought it'd settle in with time, but I can't hide what's on my mind. I got a big old heart. I ain't afraid to stop the things you start. If you don't like my kind of class, honey, you can kiss my sass. My words ain't made of glitter, and I ain't the least bit bitter. I just came with everything but a filter. Consider this a PSA. I wear my feelings on my face. If we can't agree to disagree, well, that's alright with me. What do you say? I can't help but speak my mind. Gets me in trouble all the time. I got a big old heart. I ain't afraid to stop the things you start. If you don't like my kind of class, honey, you can kiss my sass. My words ain't made of glitter, and I ain't the least bit bitter. I just came with everything but a filter. This ain't nothing but the truth, no. I'm not trying to hurt you. I just came with everything. I just came with everything but a filter.
Miss Shelby Raye here on Carolina Care. Stay with us. We are coming back.
When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers. But that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Carolina Cares. Shelby Raye, my goodness. Don't forget, tonight at the Newberry Opera House, you can catch her. We'll put details at WVOC right under that Carolina Cares tab for you about type 1 diabetes, T1D. Also, Miss Shelby Raye. What a strong 17-year-old young lady. My goodness. Thank you to Beth McCrary as well for joining us this morning. Again, more details at that Carolina Cares tab. My name is Tyler Ryan here on Carolina Cares, an iHeartMedia production. I will speak with you in 7 days.